I'm Kathleen Lau with Computer World Canada, and I'm here at the Earth Friendly IT event where I had the chance to speak with environmentalist David Suzuki. And in my interview with David, he spoke about several issues, including the role that the technology sector can play in reducing their carbon footprint. And specifically, he spoke about this mindset that business leaders have to change if they do want to take a more green approach. David also addressed some of the challenges facing business leaders today, specifically around deploying new technologies, whether green or not, and the fact that those new technologies have to have a positive impact on the bottom line. If not, then leadership buy-in is very difficult to get. So here was my interview with David Suzuki. So David, you mentioned this morning that the IT sector is not aware of the amount of garbage that they're producing.
Well, I don't know whether they might be, but I don't know.
Right. When do you think they will become aware of all these products that they're putting out and feeding this feeding this demand by consumers? When will that change?
Well, I think it will begin to change when we start putting a price, a true price, on everything that we do. Right now, we are allowed to use air and water and to a certain extent soil as a garbage can. We don't pay a price. Now we do pay $90 a ton for tipping fees to dump stuff into landfills. So we know that when we use the earth as a garbage can, we should be paying a price for that. And yet we are using air as if it's free. And my God, do we object at the idea of paying a tax for carbon. But that's got to come. And Sweden, fortunately, has shown the way by imposing a carbon tax. There are a number of countries that have imposed carbon taxes, and it works. When you start paying a price for the carbon you emit, there is a very strong incentive to reduce the amount that you emit. So Sweden is way below their Kyoto target. Now, a number of other countries have beat their Kyoto target, but you've got to put a price on carbon. And when that happens, the IT sector is going to have to respond, because a lot of things, for example, I heard in the talk today, heat is a major problem that you've got. And that heat represents money that you've spent for the electricity that's created that heat. And I think there'll be huge incentives then to begin to change the way you do things. And then you think of all the costs of generating the actual hardware, the technology. When you put a price on carbon, there'll be a strong incentive to be more efficient.
But we have an interesting supply and demand cycle that goes around. You've got consumers who are demanding these products, but you also have vendors who respond to that demand. So
I really think that's self-serving on the part of the corporate sector. I mean, people are not going, oh, please invent some new, I need an iPhone. That's not coming from the public. What you're getting are companies that got to keep making more products because they got to keep growing their profitability. So they're inventing new. When people go to Walmart, do you think they're going specifically because they've got products that they want? Hell no. They're cruising around and they go, oh, gee, I didn't know there was that. Hey, that's great. I want that. Don't give me that garbage that it's the public demanding all these things. That's a great excuse for the corporations to just keep pumping out more stuff.
Right. So what about companies that are trying to go green, but it's difficult because any change they make in terms of going green has to have a positive impact on the bottom line.
Well, I think that this is right. This is the problem: is as long as we're playing within the bailiwick of the corporation, they've got certain rules, and that is, man, if we don't have that quarterly report and showing that our profitability, blah blah blah, that's what's determining everything. So going green, right now, the private sector will say, oh yeah, we'll go green as long as I can show that it's not going to affect the bottom line. So then you're done. We have to start putting the true price on everything that we do. That's the whole point. I've had an argument about disposable batteries and the idea that you can pay such a cheap price for batteries and then throw them away. I said there should be, from cradle to grave, you should put a price on that. And people say, well, but then a battery might cost $100. Yeah, well, if you're going to throw them away, that's what it should be. And if we start putting a real price on it, a lot of things are simply not going to be possible. It's not going to be possible to buy a cheap apple in the middle of winter in Canada, just because the true price is unacceptable.
So finally, what's your message to these large companies who are building large data centers because they need that to support their business? What you say?
Well, I think that I can see that they're operating within that paradigm, and I don't have much to say except, being green is going to improve the bottom line. You're your customers and your employees will be happier, blah, blah, blah. But fundamentally, we need an overhaul of the system within which they exist. So we've got to internalize the ecological costs of everything we do. Until we do that, yeah, I'm glad people are being green and all that, but it's not serious. It's not serious because we haven't dealt with the deep underlying root causes, which is we've got way too much stuff and it's way too cheap.